Hello, everybody. Welcome once again to Pass Pirate Pay, the movie discussion show. My name is Ken. I'm your host alongside my co-host, Andy. Andy, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, Ken.
Andy, we've got a experimental episode going on today.
Oh, boy.
We've got ourselves a third chair joining us from California through the magic of technology. So, let's get him on here. Today, we're thrilled to have longtime friend and incredible creative force with us, producer, writer, and director Thomas Mahoney. Thomas brings decades of indie film experience to the table. He's a graduate of the AFI Conservatory, best known for producing the critically acclaimed thriller Wild Indian, which premiered at Sundance's U.S. Dramatic Competition, earned multiple nominations at the Independent Spirit Awards and the Gotham Awards. Beyond that, he's been behind several compelling indie titles, including Only the Good Survive, Karma, and The Girl in Photographs, which was executive produced by Wes Craven. Tommy, thanks for joining us. Great to have you on the show.
Very excited to be here. I wish you guys hit me up a while back because I was in Vegas a couple of weeks ago when it came in person, but maybe that'd be a future episode. But let's just start with the first episode.
Yeah, we're going to do it this way. It seems like,
and it scares me when you say decades of experience because, geez, it is. But it is true. Like I started professionally producing right out of AFI in 2008, so it's coming up almost on 20 years, and
amazing.
It's continuing. There's nothing. I have some projects. Everything that's updated on my IMDb. I have 2 projects in the can. One I'm working on the final touches now. It's called Brian. We announced it in the trades about a couple months ago. It's a teen comedy with Ben Wong, who was in the new Karate Kid movie, and William H. Macy. And another movie called Hello Out There I did last summer. Chloe Bennett and Phil Dunster from Ted Lasso.
Oh, nice.
And that's going to be in some festivals this fall. And then just working on a couple other projects that I hope can shoot next year, So just the battle continues, in the indie space. And, look forward to continuing on, have some really cool stuff in the pipeline. And, hopefully get a few things going here. So very exciting. And we'll see how it goes.
That's really awesome. I've been following your career since you left Vegas.
Yeah.
And since you worked on the award-winning short, The Brisket.
Yes.
Oh.
That kind of shaped your career, I would say.
Award-winning The Brisket.
Yeah,
sure.
I've definitely shaped your career. Directed by Andrew Morris.
Oh, I've heard of him. He's great. I've
Very-
heard great things from him.
He's great. Yeah. I wonder what happened to him. I don't know where, he was like, he did one major thing. He was,
he's working on his next Avatar style movie. It's taking about 18 years, but it's going to get out there in early 2030.
Right. You're like Terrence Malick did Badlands and took 20 something years for the next movie.
The Big Red Line came out and everybody loved it. It's sometimes it's worth.
Terrence Malick is a perfect comparison, I think.
Right.
Perfect.
You're gonna get really ethereal with your next movie.
It's called The Fish Dinner. The sequel.
So Tommy, Andy and I are very plugged in people. So of course we know exactly what goes into the job of being a producer, but in case some of our listeners might not be aware, would you like to just, especially on an indie level, I'm actually really curious to know just what kind of on a day-to-day basis or a big overall picture, what exactly it is that you as a producer do.
Yeah, I mean, in producing on the indie level, the studio level is a different beast because there's a lot of internal development, putting together deals with talent and, facilitating that through a studio system and, securing, the rights for distribution and things like that. And that's a whole ball of wax. That's its own thing. It's a very corporate style of producing, as I like to say, and it doesn't discredit that at all. It also, buys big houses and drives fancy cars, which would have been nice. But indie producing is a lot of, wearing a lot of different hats. And indie now is there's different levels of indie. It's
Sure.
You could be doing micro budget, which is under $1 million. Then there's kind of the $1 to $5 million place. Then there's the what people think is indie, but it's still kind of like
A24,
studio
like
film with
A24 and stuff like that.
A24 Neon, which is occupying kind of like a 10 to $20 million space, and people think that that's indie, and it is indie technically because it's not affiliated with a major studio, but it's still kind of like a apparatus within its own right, and it's independent financing and independent distribution, not, like I said, not tethered to Universal or Paramount or Disney or anything like that, but still, back to the core question of indie producing. If you're doing like a project from the ground up as an indie producer, you're usually getting a piece of material, finding a piece of material. There's two paths about it. Like, you can get the script or get wrapped up with like a writer director, find the financing. Sometimes the project comes with some financing. Sometimes the director, writer could have leads to that financing. Casting, which sometimes is kind of a cart before the horse situation, because unlike a studio project where you kind of get your budget greenlit and then you get casting, in an indie world, sometimes you have to get your casting to get your financing. So you have to like get specific tiers of names and specific people involved in your film to get the budget that you're trying to get. If you're trying to make like a $4 million horror film, you have to get a certain type of caliber of actor inside said horror film to get your budget, to go out to those financiers. Otherwise it's not worth it. You're trying to hit a threshold because that's what's going to sell at like a Sundance or a South by or a Toronto, or just on the open market to like a Netflix, which is getting rarer and rarer these days. On top of the financing, then you put the film into production, and in production, when I say put it into production, that also means like identifying where you're going to shoot it. In this day and age, that goes with a lot of, are you shooting in the United States, which now has become a major question mark. It's not as easy as just saying, hey, I'm going to shoot this movie in California, or I'm going to even shoot this movie in Georgia, or I'm going to shoot this movie in New Jersey or New York. Now we're talking about, Budapest or the UK or Australia or Thailand or the Philippines, or, because all these countries now are offering, these very high cash incentives to come shoot there that are way advantageous than even the tax incentives that some of these states offer. So you get to that level, then you make the movie, then you finish the movie, which you're going through post-production, and you're kind of like overseeing all these processes. And as a producer on an indie level, you're kind of like the person who's like being at every level. And with an indie film, unfortunately, you see like there's like 27 producers on them, and it's a really shitty thing sometimes because it kind of devalues the credit. And there's a lot of producers on the forefront that are trying to fight that, to take that credit back and come up with other names for all these other credits, because a lot of these other credits are financiers that take producer credits and actors that take producer credits and production companies that come on board and oh, we're going to give you, X amount of dollars for your movie. Oh, by the way, we need to take 3 producer credits. That's how like that happens. But really at the core of like a project, there's really like 1 or 2 producers that are really like driving the vehicle to make that thing happen. And you'll kind of know, like if you go to like a film festival or you talk to like a director and say like who really produced this movie, they're not going to name like 16 people. You know what I mean? Like they'll say like, oh, like, Andy and Ken produced this movie. I mean, they'll know immediately. They'll be able to say like, the 2 names or the 3 names that like produced the movie, and they'll know exactly what that means.
I gotcha.
So are you in the Producers Guild?
Yeah, I'm a Producers Guild member.
So are they the ones who are like doing the fighting to,
there's a couple things. There's the Producers Guild is trying some things. There's a thing called the Producers Union that just started. I say time flies. It's been like since 2021 or 2022. So there's this new thing called the Producers Union that started to do this thing. I think there's a thing called Producers United. That's another thing that's starting. and all these like organizations are kind of trying to like band together to like create, because we don't have like a union. We're the only position aside from PAs that don't have like a union or any sort of like real organization that has like backed us in any significant way to like protect us with those type of things. And it'll be important to see, like, the thing that like people don't understand, like, is like people view the producer as like the studio or like the billionaire that's like just smoking a cigar in the corner that's like making
based on what I know just from watching movies about movies, it seems to me like the producer is always portrayed as like the suit, right? He's your management. That's why there are all these unions and guilds for all of the other positions, because they have to stand up to the suit, which is you.
Yeah.
That sounds like that's not really the case.
It's not true. And we get a bad rap too, because then when like the strikes happen, the word that is used by like the unions is like, oh, well, we're striking against the producers. And it's like, you're not striking against me, you're striking against the studios. Like, and they use this producers term because it's like in the AMPT thing, whatever. And it's like producers is like the word that's in like the P or whatever, but it's really like the studios are striking against. So then everybody is like, oh, well, the producers are giving us a bad deal. It's like, I'm not giving you a bad deal. I'm giving you the deal that the studios are like giving us to give you guys or whatever. Like, it has nothing to do with us. Like, so then we get put like in this position, and then everybody is also like, oh, well, you guys are the ones that are like taking productions away from the country. And it's like, no, I'm not. I'm like, I'm doing what like my investors are like forcing us to do, because they're only giving us so much money to make the movie. It's like, if they're giving me $3 million and I ran the numbers, and it's like it's going to cost me way much more money to make that movie in Oklahoma, or it's going to cost me so much cheaper to do the movie in like Budapest, like, and it's like the better investment for the cast and the director to get more days. Like, as a filmmaker, you have to go where you're going to get the best thing. Like, look what like Brady Corbet did with like The Brutalist, like things like that. Like, you're going to go where like there's the best thing for your film. Like, probably 9 times out of 10. That's just what it is. I'd love to shoot in the United States. I want to shoot in LA. I haven't shot a movie in LA since like 2017. Like, and then it's going to be coming up on 10 years. I just don't see I don't see anything changing on that. Even with the new tax bill that crossed. So anyway, that's a whole like soapbox rant on that. But anyway, the producer thing is really tricky to navigate. It's not a long game for a lot of people. There's a lot of grifters, a lot of people, especially in indie producing, that come on in. You could just go through the IMDb and look up tons of independent films and just click on producer's name. They have like 1 or 2 credits. It's like, it's pretty insane. The longevity is not there. And there's a lot of like people that just get in it for all the wrong reasons. So it's very tricky to navigate, but you could make a career and you can make a living if you just kind of play it the right way and be true to yourself. And, my thing has been like, really good with working with like first time directors, a lot of young directors. A lot of the projects I do are kind of like in that realm, kind of carved out a niche like that. Get a lot of calls for that.
So it sounds like
so
a nice little area.
Yeah. So I kind of operate that universe, and if that's my corner, then that's kind of cool. So I'll do what I do. So it's all good.
That's awesome. I mean, I feel like I've seen lots and lots of movies, and I've read books about movies and everything. I just feel like the producer is the job that I have the least feel for. I just don't have any kind of understanding of it, So that's really interesting. It's really cool.
I think there's a lot of producers that don't have an understanding of it, because I hear like horror stories. I talk to like directors that are like, oh my God, my producer like did this and this and this. I think a lot of producers too, it's a position where if your ego can't be checked at the door, you really have to kind of let yourself fall to the back. A lot of producers, I think, are people that wanted to be directors, but like just either don't have like the balls to do it, or like just don't have the talent to do it. Yeah. And there's a lot of producers that get really like annoying or meddlesome and really kind of like get in the way, bad opinions, really bad like voices heard, bad ideas, and it's just like you got to kind of fall to the background and become like part of the this the scenery, and I let these guys cook. Like I kind of just let the director do their thing, because I think like your voice is more respected if you do kind of like say something when something needs to be said. Or you give an opinion when you think it's like most important to give an opinion. If you're just giving an opinion every 2 seconds for the sake of giving an opinion, it gets annoying and it doesn't mean anything, and it kind of slows the day down. And there's just a lot of bad stuff out there when people do that. So I kind of just let them do their thing. I say, come to me when you need something. I'm going to let you guys work. And I think that works for me. It works for them. A lot of the directors I work with, and we all have a good relationship. And I think that's kind of it. I think I make that a good thing, and I think it's a good thing that a lot of directors want to work with.
Right on.
Nice.
Yeah.
So what do you say we jump into some movies?
Absolutely. I'm excited to talk about them.
All right, cool. So this week on the show, we got a trio of movies in the vaguely themed horror romance genre.
Horror romance.
So we got Thelma, Your Monster, and Together.
And not the old lady Thelma from last year.
No, yeah. I was like, where does this fit in?
This is our second Thelma on the show.
But that's a really good movie. And I will speak on that really quick. Speaking of good producers, Chris Kay, the producer of that.
Of the old lady Thelma?
Yeah, the old lady Thelma. I'll give him a shout out. He was a colleague of mine at AFI, and he's a really good guy and a really good producer.
Nice. He would be happy to know that Andy and I both gave Thelma a pay rating.
Yeah, we did.
Show.
Okay, and his producing partner Zoe Worth as well is really good as well. And they worked their ass off for years to get that movie made, and it premiered at Sundance, and they deserve everything they got for it. So
right on.
Very cool.
Yeah. So they're like the good type that I'm talking about.
Nice. That's good. It's good to know.
So it's good to see like good people get rewarded.
All right. Well, let's jump right into this version of Thelma. I guess we
well, one thing I do want to say, can I just say one thing?
Sure.
Just when you got into the romantic horror thing, I just want to like shout out, like, it's a pretty interesting like niche in the horror genre.
Yeah.
There's a lot of movies that like you could have went a lot of places, and we could get into why you chose these movies. Obviously, one of them is in current release, but there's a lot of
what are some of your favorites?
I think there's more classics than favorites. Like Let the Right One In. Is definitely in that vein. Possession, The Hunger, the Tony Scott movie. Nosferatu is definitely, I think, all three versions. Obviously the silent film, the Herzog film, and the Robert Eggers film. I think that's Robert Eggers' best film, in my opinion. I know it's a hot take, but I'm really into that. Recently, I think, Warm Bodies, I guess, would be one kind of goofy little
Lisa Frankenstein technically?
Lisa Frankenstein, I'd throw it in there.
The Shape of Water.
Shape of Water
for sure. Life After Beth, the Aubrey Plaza movie.
Yeah, Life After Beth.
Corpse Bride.
Even though this is a niche genre, it's also really, really wide. The difference, the tonal difference between something like Thelma and Your Monster. I mean, it's just like it seems crazy
Totally.
to call them. Crazy to call them the same genre. Just because just how different they are.
Vampire in Brooklyn.
We did that one.
Yes, we did.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Well, that's one movie, and even though I worked with him, that is one movie I will say it's a Wes Craven movie. That movie's not that great.
Yeah. We both wondered at the time why Wes Craven would choose to direct such a movie.
I mean, if you had gone to his house, you'd probably know why.
Yeah, sure. I guess that makes sense.
There's a lineage of these movies. Yeah, I guess it's not as niche, but it is like it is a subgenre within the horror genre.
Yeah, for sure.
I wouldn't say I'm a big horror fan. I love horror movies. I would never say it's like a particular flavor I'm seeking out, but I guess when it's good, it's it can be good and effective.
I mean, you just rattled off a list of movies, almost all of which I really, really like. So
yeah,
it's
probably think of more as we continue. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so yeah.
So yeah, we can get into Thelma. Yeah.
Let's start with Thelma. So
Right.
from 2017, directed by Joachim Trier. This movie is about a young woman who I basically is discovering that she has superpowers through she starts having these seizures as she's off away at the first year she's in college, and it becomes apparent that as she's having these seizures, she's also causing these supernatural phenomena to happen, and it's all in conjunction with her budding romantic feelings for another young woman that she sees at her university, which is troubling to her because she was raised in a very Christian household. This movie, let me say right off the bat, this movie starts out, the first shot of the movie is like a gorgeous landscape in winter of a father and his young daughter walking across a frozen lake. And it's so beautiful. It's just such a beautiful shot. And then we cut to shots of fish swimming around underneath, in the unfrozen part of the lake underneath them. And then it becomes clear that they're deer hunting. They see a deer. The father takes his rifle and takes aim at the deer and tells his daughter she's got to be quiet. And then all of a sudden we see him turn the rifle and point it at the back of his daughter's head and face a moral dilemma as to whether or not he's going to blow her away. And eventually he decides not to. And then we run the opening credits.
I thought that was a kind of a roller coaster right there.
I like 2 minutes into this movie, I was like, this is amazing. I am so in on this movie right off the bat. Like, that's how you start a movie, right? It's
a very stark like opening scene.
Yeah.
Because if you don't know anything about this movie,
I did
if
not.
you just think that this is some cold Nordic drama or thriller, you're like, oh man, there's something definitely is like wrong here.
Yeah. And I like, yes, because it's very mysterious. This movie is very slow to give away its secrets. It keeps a lot of things close to the vest, and you're just constantly wondering what's happening. And I think it's excellent storytelling, just the way that they do it. Yeah. So as the movie goes on, we learn that the little girl at the beginning grows up to be Thelma, the main character that we meet later as the young one at college. And it's just the thing I like best about this movie is the look of it. Like, this movie is the sheer number of incredible images that come out and during the course of this movie is mind-boggling. It's just such great shot making above everything else. I think it looks absolutely fantastic. Like, Thelma keeps having all of these delusions, like vaguely dream sequency kind of things, and they all just look fantastic. There's one scene where she's swimming in a swimming pool and she starts having one of her seizures, but the way the movie represents it is she's underneath the water and there's like a ceiling on top of the swimming pool. So she's banging and trying to get her way out of it. It just looks absolutely incredible. And it's really harrowing, like wondering what's going to happen to her. Yeah, just really great looking movie. That's what I have to say there.
I got a lot of Carrie vibes from this movie.
Interesting. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Religious trauma.
Yeah, I think, I feel like the main point of what this movie is trying to say, I mean, maybe not, but one of the things the movie's trying to say for sure is that, like, if you try to pray the gay away, bad things are going to happen, right? Like, the whole impetus for everything that happens in the movie is Thelma trying to deny the feelings that she has for this other woman. And every time she's in conflict with herself about it, really terrible things happen either to her or to other people,
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, I don't know if I got this movie.
No?
Yeah.
Weird. What's not to get?
The ending.
Huh.
I don't know if I got the ending. Well, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
But go ahead, let's press on.
The movie does a lot of really interesting things where, like, so Thelma meets this other woman, Anya. They meet in class, and Thelma starts thinking a lot about her. And then the first time they kind of get together is Thelma is sleeping or laying in bed, and she seems to have this ability to telepathically summon Anya to her. So next thing you know, Anya is standing right outside of her apartment building, just waiting to come in. And so it's like, did she bring her here? It seems very clear the movie saying that she brought her here. Anya seems to have no idea how she got there or why she was even there. She doesn't even know if Thelma had ever told her where she lived, but there she is. She's there. So yeah, it becomes clear that Thelma has these powers. And we learn that this is why her father had pointed a rifle at her head at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
She has these terrifying powers.
Spoiler alert. Spoilers for Thelma ahead. Skip to minute marker 34 minutes and 29 seconds, or the next chapter. You have been warned.
We learn that one of the things that Thelma is able to do is basically disappear people. We see her as a young girl with a baby brother, and every time the baby starts crying, Thelma gets annoyed, and then at one point we see her think the baby out of existence, and then like a minute later, the baby reappears underneath this heavy piece of furniture that there's no way she could have ever gotten the baby there in any other way. So her parents are like, okay, something is very wrong with our child. And then eventually she decides to disappear the baby brother and reappear him out underneath the very same frozen lake that we saw in the early part of the movie. So that's why her parents are so wary of letting her out on her own, be creating all this havoc in the world. And so later on, Thelma does the same thing to Anya, because we see her praying to God to take these feelings that she has away from her, but she doesn't have the ability to remove the feelings, but she does have the ability to remove Anya. So another fantastic shot of this movie is when we see Thelma thinking about Anya, and we see Anya in her apartment, and then all of a sudden this giant window in her apartment shatters and then recombines itself in an instant, with Anya going through it and vanishing into thin air. And then later on, we see that same window with a strand of Anya's hair basically embedded in the window.
Yeah, I thought that was cool.
Looks really cool. Just fantastic. Yeah, I guess, I mean, that's really all the plot stuff we can get into. It just, like I said, I don't know what you didn't get about the ending.
She's able to poof people out of existence and then poof them back.
Yeah, that's what it seems like.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I guess she could poof them back. So that's what I was wondering about.
Yeah, it seems like, yeah, she has the ability to yeah, because we see her do it with her baby brother,
right?
And then one of the flashbacks.
I forgot about that scene.
Yeah, and then like the coolest shot of the movie, I think, was so her father is a doctor, and we learn that her father has taken her grandmother, his own mother, and like basically confined her to a nursing home where she is constantly under extraordinarily heavy sedation.
Mm-hmm.
And then we see that he, in order to deal with Thelma, that's his plan for her too. So he's just going to drug her and have her sedated for, I don't know, the rest of her life. It seems to be his plan. Mm-hmm. So when she realizes this is what's going to happen, things do not go well for him.
No.
So he goes out on this boat. He's out on a lake, and all of a sudden he is on fire. He just spontaneously combusts, and we see him trying to bat out the flames. He throws himself into the lake to try to put himself out, and it works because there's no fire underneath the water. But then as soon as he pops his head up and tries to get back in the boat, he immediately catches on fire again. And this is the end of Thelma's father, which I thought it just looked fantastic. Just a really cool.
It was a cool scene.
So yeah, I don't know if this movie, I kind of feel like it's the ultimate origin story of a superhero. Like I was getting like Unbreakable vibes.
Okay.
Like Thelma, or I mean superhero, maybe even supervillain. Like I don't know. Thelma does not seem to be all that moral of a person, despite her, or perhaps because of her religious upbringing.
Yeah.
So in the end, she kills off her dad and reappears Anya, and they're gonna just go off and have their own relationship, and Christianity be damned. It works for me. Tommy, what do you got? Any thoughts?
Yeah, no, I mean, there's definitely like a queer awakening, repression, subtext to this. Definitely a coldness, a discovery of like, what you do when you go to like college, or, who you become or who you discover. yourself to be. Usually like maybe a rebellion against your upbringing type situation. There is definitely like a carry to this. Definitely falls into the romantic zone with Anya. I Joachim Trier obviously is definitely grown into a very respected filmmaker.
Yeah.
With his subsequent movies, The Worst Person in the World. That's the movie, right? That's it's a great movie. And then he has another movie coming out this year that was at Cannes. Sentimental Value, I believe, is what it's called. And yeah, I mean, it seems like it's a horror movie wrapped up in like a superhero origin thing. Definitely a little Unbreakable vibe. The movie that it really reminded me of, but it's also like a movie that succeeded it, that came out after, is a 2021 movie that's also for 2022. It's also I don't know if it's a Scandinavian movie. It's called Innocence.
Okay.
The Innocence.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one either.
It's about these like 4 kids that live in a housing project. They all they're all like of a similar age to the young Thelma in this movie. And they all start to get like, without spoiling the movie, but it is like, the idea of the movie, they all start to get like superpowers and they use them for, very nefarious purposes. They're all like 10 to like 13 years old.
That's when everything you do is for nefarious purposes.
Yeah. And it is like a movie about like, it's like kind of like a young coming of age movie, and these kids like figure out they have these powers. And it kind of reminded me of that. And now I need to go back and do more research of like how that movie came together, and if that movie was like inspired by, or in the Scandinavian world of filmmaking, if people were like, oh man, that's just a fucking Thelma ripoff. Because I thought that movie was like really, really cool when I saw it. And that's kind of like classified as like a horror. I think I saw Thelma. I came to Thelma late. I've seen Thelma, but I haven't seen it. But I think I saw it after that. I think I saw Thelma like in 2023 or something. I didn't see Thelma when it originally came out in 2017. So now I'm like thinking on that. But yeah, I think it's good. It's a well done movie. All these like Scandinavian movies, especially the horror genre ones, they're all just so like icy and cold and steely, and
it definitely feels very akin to like The Right One In, right? It's
and handling the undead.
Yeah, that's true too.
Yeah,
it's just like it's bleak and wintry outside, and yet it still looks gorgeous.
No, I was like, even when they take place in the summertime, it still feels like it's fucking cold outside.
Right,
like Midsommar.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right.
I actually thought the romance in this movie was really sweet. Like the middle section before Thelma starts freaking out about it, where it's like they're doing a very chaste courtship between the two of them. It's like they, whenever they see each other, they get these big smiles, and it's like this shy Christian wallflower girl, and the more experienced the libertine with her weed smoking and drinking, and they're becoming more like each other as they get together. I thought it was really sweet at first. And then the movie eventually throws in this thing which I hadn't even considered, where Thelma's father's like, don't you see that she never really wanted you? It's just your superpowers that make her want you. I was like, oh shit, I didn't even think of that. That's a totally interesting wrinkle, It's like, does Anya actually really like Thelma? Was Anya even actually gay, right? Like we don't know. Maybe this is all Thelma's superpower. Who knows?
Right.
Which I thought was cool. It's just a good way. The movie doesn't hold your hand through everything. It's just like, maybe this is what it is. We're not going to tell you. You make your own decisions. Seems like a very non-American way of doing storytelling.
Right.
All right. So Ken, what would you give Thelma, a pass, pirate, or pay?
Oh, it's definitely a pay for me. Love it.
What about you, Tommy?
I would pay. I liked it. That was a good movie. This is a solid movie, and also like considering the pathway and the trajectory of the filmmaker, you would have to consider it. This is a guy who's going places and continues to go places. So, definitely.
Yeah. I haven't seen any other Triers, and like I remember when The Worst Person in the
Oh,
World.
you have to. Yeah.
Everybody was talking about it. It's been on my list forever. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. But I'm definitely going to check out more of his stuff after this one.
Yeah, you should. And it's not even this. It's like it's like a complete tonal shift from this. So it's kind of interesting to see like him go in a different direction. But a lot of these guys, especially in this world, they fluctuate in a lot of different genres. You see that a lot in the international world because there's like, you know, a smaller pool, and, you know, a lot of these guys come from TV, you know, they come from, you know, they do a lot of like smaller films, and, you know, so they have to like be adaptable in like different genres eventually till they hit like that breakout.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to see how that happens. But yeah, definitely. And yeah, I was into it.
Andy, what'd you give it?
I give it a pay too.
Nice.
I liked it.
Excellent. All right, moving on. I'm going to jump ahead to 2024 with Your Monster, which is directed by Caroline Lindy. This movie is, I mentioned The Shape of Water earlier. This movie feels like the more lighthearted comedic version of that movie. I was definitely getting a lot of vibes on that. So this movie starts with a prompt on the screen that says based on a true-ish story.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's the first thing you see before the opening credits. I was like, what? Based on everything that came afterwards, I'm very curious as to what the true story is from which this was adapted. So this is a movie about an actress named Laura Franco. This is my cousin. She's a Broadway actress. We see her as she's just getting out of a hospital, and we see that while she was in the hospital, her theater writer-director boyfriend decides that her cancer is too much of a bummer for him, and so he breaks up with her. And then so she goes to live in her old house, her mother's house, but her mother is nowhere to be seen. Quickly becomes clear that there is a monster living in her closet, and he basically is just a dude who looks like the Wolfman.
I think he looks a little bit like Vincent from Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah, okay.
Remember that old TV show?
Sure. Yeah, Ron Perlman.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he's a monster, but he's also, he speaks like a regular human. He speaks like he's seen one too many Ryan Reynolds movies, maybe, but he's got some snark to him. Yeah. But yeah, so he
definitely had a Ryan Reynolds cadence to him.
That's true. I was watching it. I was like, this guy is definitely he wants to be in Deadpool too. Yeah. So they somehow start to adapt to the notion of being roommates. There's a whole montage of like annoying roommate stuff where they're fighting over the thermostat, and she's annoying him with her singing, and it felt kind of sitcom-y. But then eventually their dislike of each other buds into a friendship and then a romance, and she's gonna learn to forget this asshole theater producer that she's been obsessed with, or not. So yeah, this movie, I don't know about this one.
You don't know?
I don't know.
Oh, I loved it.
Yeah.
This is up Andy's alley as a musical theater junkie.
Definitely had that piece of it. Yeah.
Some of my favorite stuff in the movie was actually all of the lampooning of these theater producing types, right? Where like the boyfriend is just such a douchebag. It's amazing. Right? Like he starts off the first, the first read of his musical. The cast is all together, and he gives a quote from Malala. It's like this guy is a full-blown douchebag.
He's definitely that like self-righteous, totally with the quote.
And then he's got this stage manager guy who's always hovering around, and he is completely ridiculous as well.
Yeah.
I thought that stuff was kind of fun. And then I was really annoyed a lot of the time by the monster. So,
oh no, really?
Yeah. Well, I mentioned the Ryan Reynolds thing. Ryan Reynolds, not a person I like at all.
Oh, you don't like Ryan Reynolds?
Not a fan. I'm not a fan of his whole shtick. So a lot of the monster dialogue kind of rubbed me the wrong way. The stuff I did like was when like they would just randomly throw in some monstery stuff that he would do. Like they're sitting around eating dinner, and then all of a sudden he'll just like take a bite out of this whiskey bottle that they're sharing. It's like that just thrown randomly in. It seemed like what was that? That was odd. I like that. That was cool. But yeah, so he really kind of bugged me. I think that was the big part of why I didn't like the movie. It's not that I didn't like the movie. I did like the movie, kind of. But that was some of the stuff that I didn't like. And I don't know, the actress who plays Laura, she's doing a lot. Like she's there's a lot of her screaming and a lot of weeping, and she's really going very big with it. So yeah, I don't know. That's the kind of stuff that just didn't totally work for me. It was a mixed bag for me, this one.
Spoiler alert, spoilers for My Monster ahead. Skip to minute marker, 51 minutes and 28 seconds, or the next chapter. You have been warned.
I kind of liked it. I liked the fact that it was kind of like there was a Fight Club element to it.
Yeah, okay. The thing that I liked most about this movie was the very end.
So me too.
Because what the hell? What is going on here? So it's opening night of the Douchebag Boyfriends musical on Broadway. And Laura she's playing the understudy because he had written the part for her. And so nobody else could do it better. But they got this famous actress that nobody loves. And they do the thing that I love in movies where it's like, there's one woman and everybody's like, oh, she's so beautiful. Look how beautiful she is. And then you have Laura here. It's just like, oh, she could never be anywhere. Like where it's like we're trying to pretend that this actress playing Laura is not this incredibly beautiful woman.
Yeah, she's pretty hot too.
Yeah, it's like, what are we doing here? But yeah, but eventually she and the beautiful leading actress become friends. And it's like, okay, this theater director guy is a real douchebag. So fuck him. I'm going to pretend I'm sick and you're going to take the part. You're going to be the lead. So Laura takes the lead in the musical. And I don't know, Andy, what did you think of the scenes of the musical? It seemed to me like, I don't know if it was intentionally trying to be a piece of shit musical, but it certainly seemed like not something I would ever want to see.
I don't know. It was definitely a musical within a movie.
Yeah.
Like I don't think they were really trying hard to make it sellable.
Yeah.
But I also did think that it was just good enough to buy.
Okay.
Like I bought it.
Yeah. I thought like somebody makes a point that, the musical is about these girls who are trapped in this like very restrictive all girls boarding house. And it's like somebody makes the point that this white dude writing and directing this musical was like, who does he think he is to get to tell this story? So I kind of got the feeling that maybe they were trying to make this musical seem not so great because it seemed like it was not so great to me.
Yeah. I thought that big closing number was kind of good though.
Yeah. Interesting. So the movie does everything it can to tell us that regardless of what you think of the musical, everyone is aware that Laura is fantastic in it, right? We get a lot of these shots of people in the audience like, oh my God, look at how good she is. And the actress, to her credit, the actress who plays Laura, incredible singing voice. She's got great pipes. So then the very end of the movie, during intermission, the asshole boyfriend comes backstage, is like, oh, what the hell? How are you in this musical? What are you doing here?
You're ruining my night.
Yeah. And then the monster is waiting in the wings, and the boyfriend gets his throat slashed and just bleeds out right on stage. And then the curtain rises and we see Laura perform this amazing final number of the musical. And we eventually see that the people in the audience are watching her sing this song while the director of the play is bleeding to death from a throat cutting on the stage. And it's like, how much of this movie are we supposed to think happened? And then the very last thing that happened, these two guys in the audience, it cuts to them. And it's like, is this part of the show? And it's like, I don't care. I'm so into it. And I was like, well, that's kind of how I feel too. I have no idea. You said that you kind of didn't get the last one. You didn't get what happened at the end of Thelma. I have no idea what happens at the end.
I know what happened. So before the guy gets his throat cut, she breaks a ruler.
Yeah.
So I don't think there is a monster.
There's no monster. I kind of thought that's what it was getting at.
And then there's another part where her and the monster are fighting, and he goes, why don't you look in the mirror? And she goes like, I am looking in the mirror. And the thing with the whole thing behind the closet, I just think a lot of it was hallucinated.
Okay. So So we're supposed to believe that she actually cut the director's throat?
She cut the director's throat because after the curtain opens and she does the big number, like right before she does a big number, you see her dropping the ruler with blood all over it.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, there's no monster.
Yeah.
She's the monster.
But then the whole thing is like at the beginning of the movie, she's this like really shy and self-doubting person, right? Where she has no confidence in herself. And that's why she, when she goes to audition for the part, she kind of bombs it because she doesn't believe in herself. And she just, if the monster's not really real, we're supposed to figure out that she got all this self-confidence by herself. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's her Tyler Durden. She doesn't think it's not real. She thinks it's real.
Sure. Okay. All right.
I just wonder how the monster fucked her.
Yeah.
How does imaginary monster fuck her? But I guess Tyler Durden did some fucking too.
Yeah. All right. Tommy, what do you think? What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was enjoyable. I mean, this premiered at Sundance last year, 2024, and I thought I thought this movie was going to be bigger than it was. Kind of came and went, but Andy's right. There's a little bit of like a Fight Club element to it. There's a little bit of a Beauty and the Beast element to it. That's an obvious allusion. There's a little bit of a imaginary friend element to it. There's a lot of things it's trying to grasp at, and I'm not saying it's unsuccessful at trying to get all of them, but there is a lot of things that it is trying to achieve. I think Melissa Barrera is very talented and does a really good job at it. Kind of like the guy playing the monster, probably more than you did.
The Ryan Reynolds thing is just my thing. That's just my issue.
I understand. The idea that, you know, she kind of gets called to duty to come in the musical and, you know, be an understudy and part of the company. And, you know, she's much better than that. And it's kind of like the idea that she's probably even better at what she does than him as a director. And, you know, all those themes of like, you know, he's like an average white guy doing the thing. And, you know, he's probably just not great even at directing, but he's in a position, you know, all that stuff's really good. It did its job. It checked all the boxes and definitely hits the mark on the romantic horror movie angle that the thesis of this pod plays. What's interesting to me is the theme of like, is there truly a romance if it's
Tyler Durden?
If it's like, yeah, an imaginary self or an imaginary friend or a manifestation of your inner desires. And that's okay. Like trying to thread that needle can be very tricky, you know, so does it stick the landing 100% there? That I don't know. But that doesn't mean it's unsuccessful either. You know, it just hits other elements that could be successful. So, you know, that's kind of how I felt about it. So it was seeking something potentially that then went in a different way and was ultimately satisfied. It's not kind of like not a happily ever after, not to say like lies horror movies are that hit this thing, but it was not like a happily ever after type horror movie.
No.
Or happily ever after type romance movie, I guess I should say. So it's kind of like where's the romance lead her? Like, what is like, who's she gonna be with like at the end of this or in the future? Like, she wasn't denied it per se. She wasn't told she couldn't have it. It leaves a lot of questions, but doesn't, you know, that's kind of like, that's how I felt, but not in a bad way at all. I didn't feel empty either.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it does kind of have a happily ever after kind of ending. Whereas,
really?
Yeah. I mean, because we're not showing the part where she goes to prison for life for slashing this guy's throat. We're ending it. She's like on this incredibly triumphant moment, right? She's the star of this Broadway musical, and everyone there is like gazing adoringly
the
at her.
Love of her life returned and avenged her.
Exactly. I thought it ended on a very, very positive note. You know what I mean?
You're thinking too far ahead, Tommy.
That's the story ends, man. That's the way it goes. Fade to black.
I did like the cut to black abrupt ending. I thought that was good. So I'll tell you what, considering like this is like, I know a little bit about this movie. I had to make a couple calls to somebody involved with this movie intimately, and I about a year ago, and was clued in on the budget of this movie, which I won't say, but I was very impressed. I have seen this movie prior to this recording, obviously, and prior. This movie does come off like this is a very impressive movie, from a filmmaking standpoint. I think this is like the director's feature debut.
Has she done anything since? This is still her.
I think she did a short before this. That was actually the short of this story.
Yeah, there was a Your Monster.
That was a proof of concept. I don't think she's directed a feature since, though. I'm sure she has something in the works. But I found it very impressive from a filmmaking standpoint. There's a lot of big set pieces here. Those musical things. I think a lot of stuff in the house. She gets a really good performance out of the lead actress. That monster, that stuff with the special effects makeup is never easy to do or to get performances out of. And this is a very impressive feature debut. I will say that, filming a movie in New York is not easy. Getting is some good production values in here is really impressive from that standpoint.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like you're saying this movie was made for not a lot of money. It certainly doesn't look like it.
It looks like a regular movie.
Yeah, exactly.
I wasn't thinking a budget at all when I was watching this.
This isn't skimpy.
Yeah. So I'll tip my cap to that.
Right on.
Cool.
So Ken, what would you give Your Monster? A pass, pirate, or pay?
This one's a pirate for me.
Yeah?
Yeah, I liked it, but I have misgivings.
All right, what about you, Tommy?
It's what's the good P?
Pass, pirate, or pay?
Pay is good.
Pay. Oh, I would pay.
I would pay too. Okay. I thought this was a lot of fun. I had from start to finish, I had a lot of fun with it, and I thought the ending was ballsy. They could have gone with a different ending.
Like I said, I really did. I might, if not for like the last 10 minutes of this movie, it might have been a pass for me.
Yeah.
Even though there were parts throughout it that I thought were kind of good. The ending really sold me on it. I really enjoyed the ending.
Yeah.
It got you to the pirate.
Yep, exactly.
It got you to the Jolly Roger.
All right. Our last movie today is 2025's Together, directed by Michael Shanks. This movie stars real-life married couple Alison Brie and Dave Franco as a struggling couple who have moved from the city, I think it's Seattle, to this small town because the wife is a teacher and she's been hired to come teach at this school where she can actually make a difference. And they go out hiking in the wilderness and encounter a very strange cave. When I saw the trailers for this movie, very, very cool trailer. And, it's like, what's happening in this movie? It kind of seems like the idea is that these two people's bodies are trying to meld themselves into one. Is that what's going on? But it's a very mysterious trailer. So yeah, but like 3 minutes into the movie, we see this movie starts with a manhunt. They're looking for this couple, and the two dogs who are these two dogs who are on the manhunt, and they find the creepy cave that Allison and Dave later find. From this water, and then like less than 5 minutes into the movie, we see these two dogs merged into one like gross mega dog, two-headed, eight-legged freak.
I'm getting some John Carpenter vibes from that dog.
Yeah, for sure. And I was like, oh, okay, that really is just what this movie is. It's just like we're gonna away we go. We're gonna have two people trying to melt their bodies into one monster. I'm in. Let's go. And that's basically what this movie is. That's Allison and Dave, they go on a hike. He winds up falling in this hole. They're in the cave. They drink the water, and then from here on out, all that's happening is it starts off with just him, where he's like being constantly drawn to her first mentally and emotionally, and then actually physically, and then whatever it is takes over her as well, and their DNA is just trying to force these two people to get together. They're trying to mash them together. Man, I gotta tell you, this movie, I had so much fun watching this movie.
I did too. I thought it was funny.
It's really funny. I think the fact that you're making what is basically on its face not a comedy at all, and you hire these two really good comedic actors to be in it, it just does wonders. Like, it was really funny. It was really great time.
The effects were good.
Really
Visual
cool.
effects were good.
There's some really cool imagery, like the cave itself, the evil cave. It looks like really cool. Is there's like bodies in there and church stuff, and at one point we see Dave Franco having this hallucination that the cave is breathing, and it just looks really cool. A lot of sound design stuff. This is a great movie to see in the theaters because there's a lot of really cool sound going on in here. You get that really cool a lot of really great stuff. One of my favorite effects of the movie, they use it a couple of times, where once they're starting to be drawn to each other, at one point Alison Brie has a cut on her hand, and then the blood is dripping out of her hand, but the blood that flows out of her hand is like magnetically drawn in Dave Franco's direction, and like we're just seeing this blood, like it's on this table, and then it like cuts a path directly in his direction. Like everything inside of her is just being drawn to him. That's the thing that these two people are doing. It's just fantastic. It's just so much fun. There's a great scene where they've decided. They realize something is going on and they have to keep their distance from each other. So she's making him sleep in the guest room. So they're in the separate rooms of the house and separated by a hallway. And then as they're trying to sleep, all of a sudden their bodies just take over and they're just being pulled toward each other. And like their bodies are being contorted in all of these weird ways. Like they're rolling around like bent over backwards, just looks really nasty, and it's just so much fun. And the way they get out of it is he has his prescription for like super strong muscle relaxants, and so like they're like, we got to get this stuff in our system. If we can relax the muscle, if we can turn off our bodies, then we can save ourselves from this thing. So like they're smashing up these muscle relaxers and snorting them like coke off the floor of this hallway. It's so funny. It's so bananas. It's just great. This movie.
There were also some legitimate scares in there too.
Yeah, I agree. I
the dream sequence with his mom, like that, his parents, that situation was really awful.
Yeah. For sure.
And that dream sequence scared the shit out of me. But the face comes up out from under the covers.
Yeah.
I was like, ah.
Yeah. This is a legitimate. Yeah, this is a for reals horror movie. But it's also just a blast. Like, when I think of, because Tommy, you mentioned that you really like horror movies, and Andy and I are both there too. I think horror is one of our favorite genres, and I don't think I like anything more at the movies than just a really good horror movie. And this movie is exactly what I want when I go to a horror movie. It like inject this movie into my veins. I love it. I love everything about it.
What did you think, Tommy?
Yeah, I thought this was really cool and really fun. I mean, this is like, this director, you could tell this guy is like really talented and had a really cool idea that he was able to like execute in a really cool way. You have like ideas as like a filmmaker where you're like, whatever the genesis or the thought is, it'd be really cool to have a movie where like two people got like stuck together or whatever. But then to be able to like execute that or live up to that promise of how you're going to do that, and to build like, he's got some really good like relationship drama in there, where he like just builds upon like that and takes it like to the idea that like, they're like, they live in the big city, and then it's like, he's a struggling musician, and then she wants to kind of move on with their lives, and it's like she takes his teaching job and he's got to come in tow, and it's like, she's put her life in pause, and now he's got to kind of like come along with it, and and it's like, she's tired of like waiting, and it's almost like a metaphor itself for like being stuck together. It's like she's pulling apart from him. This is like the little things that like you find in like a director that has like a true voice, that like knows what they're doing with their material, and they have a real sure-footed approach in like what they're trying to do. And I really felt like this guy knew exactly what he was doing. And then these two performers, I'm a big fan of like Franco, what he's been doing for a long time. And Alison Brie, like you said, has a real great comedic timing. Love Glow as a show. She always like pops up in these movies that like she does like, these things, and it's really exciting when she gets in the right role because she could do a good thing with it. They're really big fans of the genre, knowing like if they got like, this director, this type of idea and premise, like, they kind of know their lane, and then they know exactly how they're going to handle this material with this guy. And as a trio, I'm sure like on set they knew exactly how to execute this movie. Like it just seems like that was like when you have collaborators like that and everybody is on board, especially when you're making an independent film, which this was. This was an acquisition at Sundance. They made this movie in Australia. This guy's an Australian filmmaker, and they went down there to make this movie. You're like in sync with each other. It's not like you just hired somebody or you cast somebody to be in a movie and they're there for the 3 or 4 weeks they act in the movie, they come and they go. You could tell that this was like everybody was like in this kind of like idea share of like how this was going to go down. And you're really in like this intimate zone of like how you were going to do this thing, because there's so much like choreography and blocking and staging, and there's almost like this methodology and ballet to like some of these things that like they were doing with how they were together, no pun intended, but it was really true to that. And then coupled in with like the relationship drama of the script, because if this was just, you could make a drama of this like without the horror elements of just this couple that was like just falling apart as they moved out to this small rural town to escape their big city woes. So it was all there, man. This is really good stuff. And I again be really excited to see, this was the highest selling movie at Sundance this year. Nice. It was like Neon was like in a bidding war, which those things don't even happen anymore with I think A24 and Netflix to buy this movie. And
that's cool.
They wanted like, I think it was like 12 or like 13 million or something crazy for it. And then those things don't even happen anymore. Like when this movie premiered at Sundance, this thing caught fire. And you could tell why. This was like, everybody was like, you got to see this movie. And then all those type of companies were like, you got to have this movie.
I thought the reasons that they built around the whole melding of a person, I thought that was really clever. That was something I wasn't expecting.
Oh yeah.
It's like the whole religious aspect to it. And
to speak to what Tommy was saying too, I think the way that they use the relationship drama and then bring it back to the same things with the horror stuff, like it's so great. The biggest laugh I had when I was watching the movie was, so at the very beginning of the movie, they're laying in bed together and she says to him, if we don't split now, it'll be much harder later. And then later on, when she has to saw their arms apart from each other, she says the same line. It's like, if we don't split now, it'll just be harder when we get together, because their arms are melded together for like a foot-long strip. And she has to saw through it. I was like, oh, that's so good. That's such good writing. It's so good. Really funny.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Like we saw it like in a full theater. I know it's hard to get those in Vegas, but here, this is still one of the only cities in America where you could see a movie in a full theater. And the audience was like losing their shit like during those scenes. And it's really fun to see that type of stuff.
My theater was about half full, but the scene where right after they have sex, when he can't get his dick out of her, and they cut to a shot of him trying to pull it out, everybody in my theater just lost their minds. Such a huge moment.
It's a lot of fun there. And it's cool. It's a cool movie. I'm really excited to see like, what this guy does next. Like,
I'm with you. I'm really excited.
These guys, like, they do like these smaller horror films, and then like they could really make a monumental leap with their next film. And so I'm really tuned in to see what this guy does next. And
Yeah, it's kind of like it's like after Barbarian, I was feeling the same way about Zach Kreger, and I haven't seen Weapons yet, but like it's like, man, I can't wait to see this movie. I'm so much looking forward to seeing it. I can't just to see what this guy does next. And now, so Michael Shanks, I have the same exact feeling. It's just like I want to see what this guy is going to do next.
Yeah,
All
same.
right. And what would you give Together?
Oh, it's a pay. Absolutely pay.
Yeah. How about you, Tommy?
Definitely a pay.
Yeah, it's a pay for me. Too.
Yeah,
I had a lot of fun.
Yeah, I've been telling everybody I can find they have to see this movie. It's so great. It's just such a good time. Like if you can't have a good time watching this movie, don't go to the movies ever. You know what I mean? What are you doing?
All right. Well, should we talk about what we're doing next week?
Yeah,
real quick. Next week, I hate to do 2 horror things in a row.
Well, we just talked about how much we like horror, so
But we're gonna do 2 horror things in a row.
we gotta be ourselves, Andy.
But we are going for a different genre of horror this time, and it is the creepy kid.
Yes.
And there's no shortage of those movies, but the movies we are curating the next week are Weapons,
Mm-hmm.
Bring Her Back,
Okay.
and The First Omen.
Okay.
When I say The First Omen, Ken, I don't mean the first one from the 70s.
The first movie of The Omen.
No, I don't mean that.
Don't mean that. Okay.
There's a prequel called The First Omen.
I see.
So those are the 3 movies we're doing.
All right, that should be fun.
But Tommy, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yeah, Tom, this was great.
Hope it was good.
I don't know if you know this, but you have legitimized us.
That is true.
Thanks for tuning in to Past Pirate Pay. This episode was produced by the one and only Andy Morris. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button on your favorite podcast app. We'd hate for you to miss out on all the fun. Curious about where to stream the movies we talked about? Head on over to pastpiratepay.com. We've got everything listed with handy links on where to watch. You can also join the conversation on our Facebook page or stalk our cinematic musings on Letterboxd. Links are on the site. Got a movie or a TV show you think we should review? Fill out the contact form, or this is cool, you can even text us right through the episode player on our website's front page. Thanks again for hanging out with us. Until next time, keep watching, keep rating, and keep it past Pirate Pay.